All right. Hello and welcome to Money Mondays with me, Ezekiel Olande. Thank you so much for joining us. Kama kawaida, if it's Monday, you know we're talking money, business, entrepreneurship, finance, and everything in between. And today we are having our resident. By the way, at this time, if you don't know Alistair and Wairimu, please, it means you're a visitor here or you're new, which is a good thing. Thank you for joining. But if you've been part and parcel of this journey with us, you know very well that Alistair and Wairimu are very good friends of the show, and they're here. We are continuing our session on employment, and they're going to tell us a bit more about themselves. But just to start by recapping, last time we were here, let me just make sure I get it right. We're talking about small budgets, big dreams, building the right team. And this wonderful team just took us through how you're able to recruit well. Alistair and Wairimu taught us about the employee funnel, employment funnel as well, and how you're able to attract the right team hata kama pesa ni kidogo. You know, because if you don't get it right, at the time you're recruiting, you're definitely going to mess up uko mbele. So don't wait until the budget is big. That's why we said small budget. Okay? Yeah. Don't wait until the budget is big. That's when you recruit well from the get-go. Hata kama ni, we said if you're mama mboga and you want to get someone, don't just go and say, oh, give me so-and-so to come and help me, because they can make or break your business. That was in August. We are in September. So it hasn't been, at least just almost 2 months in. And today we are back at it again. But I'll pause there. Please, for those who are visiting. You know now, this is the problem. When you operate in certain circles, you both know those circles. For those of you who are here for the first time, please, Alistair and Wairimu, kindly introduce yourselves. Oh, we start with the lady.
I was actually going to say the men first for the third time in a row. Anyway, I'm Wairimu Ndung'u. I'm a psychoeducator, so I live with mental illness and use my platforms to help patients managing that. Alongside that, I also have gotten into business development consulting, and that's how you and I met and we got here, having partnered with Alistair after working in startups for the last decade. So just try to blend some of that health and career knowledge and experience to try and help people excel in the workplace. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you for joining us, Wairimu. And Alistair.
Yes.
Please let us know.
Thank you. Glad to be back. Briefly, I am a consultant, essentially. I'm just using a lot of my past experience right now. I've had experience in investing and tech, and now I consult for individuals and for businesses and just help them make better decisions.
Yeah. And just, sometimes we just get into the kawaida, the meat of it. But no, Wairimu, I saw you with a helmet.
Oh,
explain yourself.
Oh my goodness. So I'm talking about taking care of my health, but I'm making some risky choices. I like borders. I like being on borders so much that Alistair and my cousins decided it's time that I'm a bit safer.
Yes.
But I have I've been on borders for quite a while. Covered a couple of miles. And I hope to be a rider someday.
That was my next question, because clearly
it's serious.
That is the path that you...
That's
and please do it now, because... when you cross certain thresholds, because I was taught how to ride when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And then my wife tells me I'm not allowed.
You were Lewis Hamilton back in the day.
Yes, I should just have done this back in the day. So, good stuff.
Noted.
And Alistair, you, apart from being a consultant, wewe ni mwimbi. Please tell us a bit about, because there's something special that is coming up and we need to know about it. Yes.
Mwimbi ama mwimbaji?
Mwimbaji.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the other things that I did in the past was music as a guitarist in a band. So there's some stuff that we're working on. It's been quite a while since we were active. But 10 years since our second album, so it might be time to wake up again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are hoping that reunion itaanzia hapa ama namna gani?
Inaweza. We
Good
actually
stuff.
just had, we just met yesterday. In
yeah.
fact.
Okay.
Good signs.
Mm.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's good for you guys to know a bit about our guests so that, we humanize the person behind the mic.
Yep.
Sometimes we're just used to, I am this is my title and this is all I do. But beyond, we're multifaceted human beings. And over the last few months, I learned, I didn't learn, but another term that really made sense to me is polymathy, and I believe everyone in this room is a polymath, in one way, shape or form. So, Francis Okello, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Back to today's conversation. So today we are still on small budget, big dreams, but we're talking about building the right team. Excuse me. And we just want to understand how we proceed, moving forward. So why talent is a business strategy and not just a hire. So the first question, itaingia kwa nani? Let me, I'll start with you, Alistair. Why?
The previous one.
Sorry?
Is that the previous one?
No, it's the...
Oh, okay.
It is the right one.
Oh, okay.
Or did I get it wrong?
Sorry.
I beg your pardon. No.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Okay.
because we have done this before, thank you for picking that up, Alistair. It is small budget, big dreams, culture, customers, or rather culture that customers can feel. Tuko pamoja?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you for, we will just have rehashed the previous
conversation.
the previous
But at least
conversation.
go watch it if you're interested.
Yes,
If you are
yes.
hooked, it's time to watch the last episode.
Good stuff. All right, so back, Alistair, I'll start with you. Last time we covered talent funnel, and that's the bridge between having, what's the bridge between having a funnel and delivering a great employee experience? Yeah.
Okay. I think if we just start from what the funnel is, as we talked about last time, and if anyone didn't watch, it's a good time to check that. The funnel is really like a structure. It's a model of the steps that an employee will take from the point they don't know you to the point they leave your company. But beyond those steps, beyond that structure, there is, what is happening while they are with you, and that is the employee's experience while you're engaged, right? And that starts really at the beginning when you first interact, at the point where you are looking to hire this person, and all the way until the end, hence the funnel. But I believe in the best outcomes, the longest part of the funnel is while they are with you.
They're in employment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where the employee experience lives. Yeah. That's where the relationship between employer and employee is developed.
Yeah.
And that relationship is what, I guess, outlines or defines the employee's experience. A business exists for its customers. I believe most businesses
not
exist.
to make money.
They can only make money through customers.
Absolutely.
So so businesses are about people. Many times the people that we are concerned about are the people that are going to give us money, right?
Yes.
Those customers. And we segment them and say, well, Gen Z customers and these customers.
Yes, you build the personas and really map how we're going to reach them.
Exactly. We learn so much about them. We figure out where they are.
Insights.
Exactly. And we forget that there are other people in this business. The people that are actually going to interact with those customers.
Exactly.
Those are your employees. So I think ensuring that the experience of the person within the company is also like you look into it as much as you're thinking about the person outside the business, is where you build you build an advantage for yourself, essentially by ensuring that the service delivery, the quality, the level of attention you're paying to a customer, you also pay that to your employees because they are the bridge.
And Wairimu, it's interesting, just picking up from what Alistair is saying, because we tend to ignore our employees and shift our focus, as Alistair said, because they're bringing in the money. But you forget that an employee is your first brand ambassador. And if I don't look out for him, if I don't take care of my employee, then even how they're going to represent me out there is going to change. So how then should we ensure that, in fact, I would say customer number one should be the employee.
I agree.
Indeed.
Because if they don't buy in
Yeah.
to your
I agree.
vision,
Yeah.
mission, and
Yeah.
the reason why you're here,
Yeah.
then they'll have that attitude for, me, I just work here. So how do we avoid having that kind of attitude?
So I'll answer this in two parts. So one, I like to say the employee experience is a product.
Yeah.
Truly, you are
I
selling.
like that. Yes.
You are selling me your vision and
Yeah.
telling me I should care about your business as much as you do.
Yes.
In my field, so that I can drive, customer success and all I need to do to drive revenue and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So that you don't have to think about it as intensely every day. You're busy thinking about the entire business.
Yes.
So I have to literally buy into something, right? So that I can get up in the morning and give my best, not
Yes.
50%.
Yes.
So when you're starting from there, I do think people will struggle at times to care about employees because they're not seeing the revenue inside the employee. It's not in front of you.
Yes.
All you're
the
seeing is
cost.
cost. You see
Yes.
the
It's a cost
time,
center. Yeah.
hiring, the time it takes to hire, doing the interview process,
Train
the salary they ask
them,
for.
motivate
Already you feel like
them.
money is just
Yes.
leaving my account.
Yeah.
Then the training, for instance, and all that stuff, them acclimatizing. And we're being completely honest, sometimes that can take up to a year.
Yes.
In certain organizations, if it's really small, it's a lot more intense. So you're
Yes,
accounting for all those
yes.
things. Then people probably crashing out because it's tough, right?
Yeah.
But now when you understand that they're not separate things, it's not spending time with the employee, spending time with the customer.
Yes.
Spending time with the employee, spending time with the customer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think now to move into the second bit of the question, like you truly do model behavior. The way you
Yes,
treat
yes.
employees is the way employees will treat your customers.
Absolutely.
Every single time, right? So if an employee encounters a problem or a challenge when they're working and they bring that to you as a leader,
Yeah.
how receptive are you?
Are
How
you-
much they're active
absolutely.
listening? They may be
Yes,
so
yes.
tiny,
Yes.
but especially now with customer-facing employees, like a customer success person,
Yes. Yes.
active listening, being quiet until somebody finishes talking and sharing their problem.
Active listening. Yes.
Yeah, things like that. Making them feel seen and
Yeah.
heard, and then now you problem solve together. That type of thing.
Yeah.
We think training is okay. We're having a training session on how to listen to customers. Let's schedule it in for 5 p.m. after work,
Yes.
and let's
Yes.
be here
Yes.
for 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Let's do it after hours because
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you think, it'll be extra work. No, that interaction is when you're actually teaching. The way you
Yes,
listen,
yes,
solve that
yes,
problem
yes.
together, level of autonomy, things like that, and then send them with. They've contributed to the solution, but they're empowered to now kind of continue and implement it. When they have a customer complaint, let's say leadership is busy, they don't have time to consult per se,
Yeah.
they'll do the same. They'll listen to the customer,
Yeah.
take in, they're angry, all that stuff,
Yes,
patiently, start to problem solve, and potentially convert somebody who's about to leave to someone who
Yes.
stays.
Yes.
And then because we know how competitive competitive advantage could even just be how a customer feels.
Yes.
They will stay with you and they will tell other people about you.
Yeah.
That is revenue.
Yes, it is.
That is directly connected to the
it really
revenue.
is. Yeah.
And could literally be your stand-up. Just what you do during. We've not spent extra time. We've not spent extra money.
Yeah.
So I think modeling behavior in huge part really contributes to that.
And just sticking on that, Alice, I can come to you. We hear organizations being ranked as best place to work,
Yeah.
and that becomes a competitive advantage,
Yeah.
over and above, other places where I guess if you're not the best place to work, then rank yourself wherever you are.
Yeah.
So I guess the point here is how, even for customers, because I want to is it patron or patronage? What is the word? Not patronize. Anyway, I want to associate myself. Thank you. Let's use that word with an organization that the staff are happy. We see, although there's, and again, I mean, we're talking about culture here, so we'll see how we'll go to the ones that look good on the outside, but on the inside it's really toxic. Bean bags, foosball tables, but look on the other side, it's really toxic.
Yeah.
But maybe just the question here is, why should organizations then pay close attention to these kinds of ranking? Best place to work as a way of having a competitive advantage.
I mean, I think It would depend what metrics those guys use to gauge or to rank them. But I imagine that it's quite comprehensive. The good thing about such badges is that it tells the rest of the world something about you. It'll tell talent something about your company. It'll tell customers something about your company, because you've rightly put it that a customer would want to be associated with a company that it's good to work at, because you know what it's like to go to a company or to a business where people want to be there, versus a business where people are really just passing time. You could use the simplest example of going somewhere to eat, for instance. You know what it's like to receive great service, service with a smile. People are actually, they're happy to see you.
And you can tell they're genuinely happy,
exactly.
not that
not what they've been told.
Yeah, because at the coast sometimes I'm just like, are you happy to see me? Or is it because, if I don't smile, then I'll go somewhere else?
Yeah. So we're human. We're all human. We interact as humans. We understand. We can see these things. We feel them. Yeah?
Yes.
You can tell when you're getting... when the service with the smile is meant.
Yes.
And that reflects on the experience that person is also having on the other side, that they got up and actually wanted to do this job. As a customer, you will want to come back there. Or it's a lot easier for you to say, I'll come here again. I'll tell other people about it.
Yes.
The flip side is very fast. When you get poor service, you might not even finish what you're doing there. You write them off very quickly.
Exactly. And with the online rankings or reviews, you're just one review away from losing loyal customers.
Exactly. So I think as far as trying to be a best place to work, I think all companies should aspire to that. All businesses, even the smallest. And whether or not you get the badge, you let your people tell you whether it is a good place to work. And that should be enough even for you. Because if you hire the right people and you give them the right experience, it will show. It will show, it will be evident, both in them and in your customers. If it's evident in your customers, then it is going to be evident in your bottom line.
We've always, you've seen these shows where a CEO disguises themselves. And then...
like a mystery shopper or
exactly, kind of thing. Although here in Kenya, because our leaders are just, they're celebs, so
I wish you could do that.
You will know immediately. But, people have said, especially for doctors, like, please come and be a patient. And don't announce yourself. Kuja tu kama raia. And see yourself through the eyes and more so public health. Again, I digress. But it is important, actually, even as an employer, to do a mystery shopping where you send people to come and just understand how things are, because then that informs you about culture.
Correct.
Someone said culture is how your employees feel on a Monday morning.
Wow. Sunday night, actually.
Yes, absolutely. When you're getting that trepidation from like, the sun is going down and just like, man, my world is over, but I need to pay bills. You're with me, Ezekiel Olande, on Money Mondays with Alistair and Wairimu, and we are having episode 2 in our... we can call it employment series. Yes, employment series. And today we are discussing small budget, big dreams, culture that customers can feel. Wairimu, in plain terms, how can employee experience translate into customer outcomes and revenue? You've already touched on that.
Yeah, that's kind of the response I've given. Maybe the layer I can add off of what Alistair is describing, everyone should aspire to have a place that people want to work in, because your friends will tell, your employees will tell their friends about what it's like over there. And if they have a product that you as a friend would like to purchase, you're already turning away customers, not just the friends of your employees, right? But there's a big caveat here I do want to say. For a long time, even with that activism work that I do, caring about health and people, sometimes it's easy to think that there's one best culture, but really the culture there are different types of great cultures depending on your business, your product, things like that. So when you think of a like a tech business where they're probably just building a product and predominantly the team are developers who do not want to be disturbed, prefer to work from home, things like that. Somebody who goes there and wants to be really social. I don't know, maybe like somebody from the marketing side.
Akina Sisi.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know that they won't have a marketing person, but you could still have a marketing person with tech competency who would then understand that business and the team. But you would feel this is not a great culture and all that stuff. Meanwhile, the team is happy. They're remote. They never have to have meetings. Or when they have meetings, they're very intentional. So somebody might call that a bad culture. You don't know the business. You may not understand these aspects of business and what requires success. So you'll hear that and you'll hear it's a bad place to work at. And so this is how sometimes we end up with different people having different experiences at work. One person saying, that's great. And another person like, what's the worst place, right? So I think one of the ways that will be helpful, and that's where we came in and discussed the funnel, is to the best of your ability, you try and communicate some of what it's like to work at your place and those expectations. Because some people want people who are quiet because even they are quiet and it works for the product. And some people want people who are engaging and interact with other people and want to spend time and try and build friendships and things like that, because maybe the business is a very human-centered business and it's preparation and practice for how to interact with customers and to manage relationships. You know, when you think of recruitment, it's human relations heavy.
Yes, exactly.
And you could schedule that training program for 30 minutes after 5. Or you could build the way people interact with each other day to day. There are several touch points that are targeted that coach people in the process, so that they can now go on and sometimes even source clients. You know, that's revenue in mind. It's building another you, but with your own brain and things like that. And we mentioned something on archetypes in the last conversation, whereby instead of hiring people and thinking they better not leave me, it's really about, for the time that they're here, how much data can we both collect on what it means to succeed in this role, right? So that you always have that archetype. But the thing with the archetype is humans, now real humans with real feelings and interests and growth journeys will differ, right? So even if I take a car wash, 2 guys wash cars and stuff like that. One person is obsessed with customers probably and is always thinking, hey, you know, these types of clientele will make this much money, we need to bring them here. Another one is thinking, we need to have a way to predict how many customers will come through that door, how we prepare ourselves, how much water we have in the back, like rush hour.
The more analytic.
That's an operations person. In as much as you don't have CEO, all that stuff, at any business, you know, it's really just thinking. These humans that work for me, yes, they keep things going. They have ideas. Can I like listen to them and hear what it's like to? Yes, they know how to clean cars, but these are the different types of people at my company. Competencies of guys who clean cars and longevity and things like that. Then there's somebody who'll just be an expert at cleaning the cars, and that's what they want to get better at and things like that. So I think those are all things tied to revenue. But you see, it's through what Alistair was saying. Service delivery is literally through those humans, and their competencies.
Just sticking with that analogy for the car wash, how do I, as an employer, because I'm thinking at that level, and I'm not demeaning or anything, but at that level, may want as many cars washed. Let's not waste water. Let's not waste product. Let's not waste this. But in there are different skill sets that I might not necessarily know of, or I might not find important. But if I pay close attention, like you're saying, the operations guy, you know, the way he's thinking, there's this one who's just like, motorists wants to bring their cars to him because he's just that guy. You know, he, like, you feel like you've reached, I don't know, State House. You know, like the treat. I don't know if State House does that. Anyway, but you know, so how do I, as an you know, an entrepreneur, I am really looking at the bottom line here. But there's this ecosystem that if I manage properly, I'm definitely going to get bigger, better, faster, even. How do I balance those two? And if you can take this.
I can pick it up and just continue. You see, the same way we have customer research, like we say market research, right? The same way even if you're the smartest person in the world, you need to ask a couple of people what their problems are, and then that's how you take your product to market. If you think of the employee experience as a product, you're selling to your employees. Ask them, you know, what do you think, what are some of the reasons you think you're successful at what you do? Like, what helps you do your job well? But that's a very simple question. What helps you do your job well? They'll tell you. They'll start to tell you the competencies required for that role.
Yes.
It's that simple,
Yes.
by the way.
Yes.
And you can have a cadence. You can ask them that every month and just log that there. It doesn't need to be intense, by the way.
Yes.
But with time, that person will have given you some information for
Yeah.
what success could look like in that role. And then what's the hardest part of their job.
Yeah.
So you start to see what are some blockers in the way you do things. Is there one thing that needs to change or a new thing that needs to be introduced that helps everyone else? Honestly, ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
We assume that as a leader, you're supposed to know everything. And I think Alistair talked about it like in the second episode we worked on.
Yes.
Yeah, just the truth of you don't know.
Yes, exactly.
even
That's
when
why
you-
you surround yourself with people who do.
Yeah,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
when you know everything, you don't know everything about that hire.
Exactly.
Right? But you
Yes,
hired them
yes.
because you had this hunch, this experience, set of skills, or just what you saw in them.
Sorry. Yeah.
All those things, them inside your business will
Yeah.
unlock a new level that you think you've reached your end, at least for that department
Yeah.
or something like that. So I think ask questions. It is
Yeah.
that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And as you're saying that, even when you talk about just logging those things, you can then even use an AI app or ask ChatGPT,
No,
what can I
exactly.
make sense? How can I
That
make sense
data
of
now.
this
Exactly.
information?
Yep.
And that will actually open you up to different things. I like what you're saying. Employee experience as a product. You're selling it to your employees, because when you do that, then you're being employee centric and you're able to then understand, like it's a jigsaw puzzle, if I can
Yeah,
call it that. We just did one with my kids recently.
Nice.
Yeah, but every piece just comes together to make this beautiful image or tapestry, and it works very well. I like that. Do you want to add something on that, or then we can move to the next question?
Yeah, I think, well, maybe what I could say there is hire right, hire right, and hence the conversation that preceded this, the last time we were here. Yeah? You need the right people, and if you're patient with that at that point in time, and you have the right people, then you're more inclined to trust them first of all, right?
Yes.
And if you do trust them, then you as the business owner, you let them be the expert in the thing that you hired them to do. Because you hire people to do certain things which you can't do for different reasons.
And hopefully not
time,
micromanage
capacity.
them. Yes.
Exactly. So trusting them to carry out their role will enable you to see, where the gaps are and how can I make the best experience, honestly, for both parties.
Yes.
How do I get the best out of them for us as the business? How do I get the best out of them for the customers, and so on?
Yeah.
So I think if you're thinking about it from the get-go, thinking about this as a long-term relationship, the same way you want a long-term relationship with your customer, that you want them to be a patron of your business for years and years and years. Same approach with an employee, right?
Yeah.
And in demonstrating that trust with them, they will feel it, just like we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
They will feel it, and they'll know that, okay, here I am trusted.
I am
Here
valued.
I'm valued.
Yes.
My opinion is actually taken. It's not just do what the boss says.
Yes.
They will actually listen to my ideas and so on. I think that will translate into better outcomes.
Yeah. Good stuff. And beyond even just the businesses, even just at home with our, we call them DMs, domestic managers. Because what Wairimu is saying is gold. If you ask
No pun
the right
intended.
questions.
Mr.
But how did I miss that? Yeah, but it's gold. If you ask the right questions, even the person who is taking care of your home, your homestead, maybe they've seen some inefficiencies somewhere, but because mdosi amesema,
there's a way mdosi
yes, lazima
amepanga
ifanywe
vitu.
hivi, maybe even just the routine and all those things. I think it really just, we limit ourselves as employers, as entrepreneurs, because we think that mimi ni kila kitu.
I know
mean,
everything.
it's my business. What do you know? I've been doing this. It's been done like this. And I've actually had people who will tell you this. Clients, they come and ask you to consult for them, but they're like, but consult for me in this way. Like, then maybe you do it.
Yeah.
Because you clearly know what you want and you already have a predetermined outcome. So maybe you just do it the way you want to do it. And hopefully, let's see where the chips where the chips will fall. How then does a founder's own stress or mindset ripple into the team and eventually to the customers? Alistair, you can start us off on this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the founder, the head, the leader carries a lot of, if I can even say, the mood of a business. You know, they own it in that. Let me look for an example. I mean, we are familiar with a setting where in certain workplaces, when the boss walks in, things change. You know?
Yes. The mood, the atmosphere. Yes.
People are quiet. People are on their computer. You see, it's a show.
Yes.
There are other places where the boss comes in and it's good. If anything, let's get things going. Let's get things moving. So I think the mindset of a leader, I think leaders need to realize that is part of their responsibility. The fact that they reflect upon their teams, and then their teams will reflect on the customers. So how they view, I think for me the biggest thing here would be how the leader or the founder views the relationship that they have between themselves and their team, their employees. And I'm sure it's not a simple dichotomy, but I'll use one where there are leaders who, because I'm not saying either is right or wrong, there are leaders who see employees as functional. I hired you to do a certain thing, you need to do it. And that's it.
No questions
That's our
asked.
relationship. At the end of the month, I pay you this for what you're supposed to do. Very functional relationship. Then there are leaders who think from a more collaborative
we are
approach.
almost like co-creators.
Exactly. I hired you to join this team because I need the help, because you are good at that thing. Therefore, we will work together to achieve our goals or our outcomes. You can see how both of those can be right or wrong depending on the setting, but those are two different mindsets. Those are two different sets of leaders who, depending on how they see their relationship with their employees, that is going to have an impact on how the employees relate with them, and therefore just how the organization runs. Where on one side you have, I don't know, taskmaster type people who it's all about, did we get these 10 things done or not? And the other is more, okay, are we headed there? Are we? Is everyone?
More relational.
So I think the from a mindset perspective, that's I would say the responsibility that any leader carries, to really remember that where I'm at is going to reflect on my people. How I think about them is going to reflect on how they carry out their work.
You know, you reminded me, I can't remember what ad this was, but it's a setting where it's like they call them a bullpen, where it's an open space. Then the PA to, I guess, the business owner, or the boss, is talking to the boss. And so she's like, oh, Mr. Sensu, you're not coming in. As soon as she says that, everyone gets up. They're carrying their golf bags. It's like, oh, no, you're coming for that meeting. Everyone sits down. Then, yes, you see that. It's a back and forth. So every time she says something like, he's not coming, everyone is up. She says he's coming, everyone is down. And it's true. When you don't, and that is now, I guess, the taskmaster kind of situation where you're really just about do, as opposed to having that collaborative approach where people actually have a lot of ownership for your organization. And I think obviously that's the better part, the better bit. Wairimu, we're talking about culture. How do I, as a founder, set the right culture for my organization? Because I think, like as we're saying here, it all, like, how you treat your employee will definitely reflect on what is coming out there. So how do I, as a business founder, leader, whatever you want to call me, because there's this thing that I keep seeing, this role, people and culture. if you ask me, like, unless the people and culture is /CEO,
Yeah.
there's
we go.
absolutely
founder.
nothing
There we go.
that you're doing,
Yeah.
because you cannot determine the culture if you're not at the very top.
Yes.
Yeah, period.
Yes, yeah. And again, we have always said this: culture eats strategy for breakfast. You know, that those kind. It's not we, but it's said. You know?
Yeah.
So how do I then ensure that my culture does not eat my strategy for breakfast?
For
Kind of way, yeah.
No, I really like that. I've just finished a book called Rework.
Okay.
I never remember the founders' names with the authors, but I know their product because I used it in my first job.
Right.
But yeah, they created a project management tool called Basecamp. And
Yeah, I've heard of Basecamp.
yeah. So those are OG days, like pre-COVID. That's what I was using.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they talk about culture. It's as behavior.
Yeah.
Just behavior. Like it's so simple because the book is very straight to the point with a lot of concepts. But really it is behavior.
Yeah.
Consistent actions tell employees how to behave. No matter how much you tell them you care about your customer, you care about the business, we have a big vision, I'm taking you to the moon.
Yes.
You could be right.
Yes.
But your behavior.
Yes.
How much effort are you putting towards realizing that dream? Aside from telling us and then going to chill, you know, as we figure out what the cost of the vision is,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But even just in terms of the day-to-day, just to think about this very operationally,
Yeah.
the same way children look to their parents. It's not what you tell me, I'm seeing what you're doing and all that stuff. Honestly, employees are doing the same thing. They are looking for signals on how to behave in this space.
Yeah.
Because I really, again, I'm caveating the fact that even with the spectrum he's given, truthfully, you need a taskmaster in you as an operator in a business,
because
people will want to be...
things must be done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some components of that, and there's someone who kind of has to be the, again, chief executive officer, right? Like execution.
Yes, exactly.
This is executive decision, right? You need some of that in you, like the higher you go. So even if people are trying to be creative, what's the operational way of operationalizing creativity, for instance, right? So you do need to be somewhere on that spectrum.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to though the executing and things like that, remember I talked about professional employees in the last conversation and how they just say, do this, you're not done. Okay, let's create a meeting for me to have something to do so that I look like I did something.
Yes.
And then I disrupt you from the long list I gave you to do and all that stuff. I think truthfully, and this is why I've enjoyed working in startups a lot and things like that, you're too few. There's no time to say you're me, I did it. Tell you,
You cannot hide behind anything else.
You're watching that. And so for me, when I joined, I'm going to use Tulix because Alistair and I worked together. That's why I met him. Very practical example that's really shaped a lot of how I work. When I joined, he has all the experience he's had, 15 years in investment banking, all these things, led companies, things like that. But he was there when I joined. He wasn't very strong, say, with content strategy and things like that. He didn't have to because he was hiring me for it, but we were too few.
Yes.
Okay, so he and I were working very closely on the non-tech side of the business.
Yes.
And he said, I'm leaning on you. You teach me what to do.
Exactly.
Not, I'm not doing anything. So he was there coming up with content, at the very least, even getting on GPT and getting some rough copy and things like that. I have years of copywriting experience from scratch, pre-AI.
Yes.
So now it's very...
Yeah, there are those days, people watching. Yeah, when you had to do everything by
you
yourself.
had to write, you had to do research.
Without
2.5 years, that was my
ChatGPT.
job. Yeah, I've done my 10,000 hours there. But yeah, so he came in I want to learn. He was doing that with me, but he was also spending time with the head, the devs, the lead dev, learning how to code. Okay, learning how to code, like actual coding, not vibe coding that we have now. Not that it's bad, but I'm saying that's where he was willing to go.
Yes.
It was not a conversation we had. I was watching it happen.
Yeah.
A couple of months later, we went through a tough time in the business. There's some bits we had to hunker down and redo the product. So marketing wasn't like as active, and that's I was head for marketing and customer success.
Yeah.
But without being told, I knew, okay, pay attention to customers now. There'll be a lot of bug reporting as we make some adjustments.
Yeah.
So now I would email customers. I mean, they'd of course email, they're unhappy, active listening, because that's what I go through at work. They listen to me. So I listen to their problems. Then I help them, feel good, give feedback. Then I start asking. I'd ask them one question. I'd use the opportunity for market research. And I quickly started to notice, based on, like, what did these people think our product was about? There's some people who are using our product and they're using it for the wrong thing.
Right.
There's no way to know that. They're not going to comment on a social media post. But that email, support email is so important.
Yes.
So I started taking that information and starting to see, I need to shape, I can use customer success to shape marketing.
Yes.
So now I'm even understanding why my role was dual in that way. And I enjoyed it so much because now I had to spend time also with devs requesting
Yeah.
this bug needs to be dealt with right now. You know, you have other things, but this one's a priority.
Yeah.
And so now I'm
Yeah.
there also trying to understand how they're fixing the bug. I also spent time
Mm.
learning, like fixing particular bugs that were stubborn. You know,
Yes,
even if I
yes.
don't understand what's going on,
Mm.
I'm willing to listen and to learn as little as I can.
Yeah.
So with time, I even now stumbled into what is called a product manager role.
Right.
Because now I was so fascinated by this period. I could have shut down. I could have said, oh, you know me, they're still paying me.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
my
but-
marketing is not active right
Yes,
now.
yes.
I don't have work to do. But I watched my leader, like he's been working since I joined him. He's
Yeah.
been understanding, even when it wasn't intense, you know. So I just knew that was the next step, and then
Yeah.
I started advocating for this new role. So what could have been a downtime of
Yes,
nothing,
yes.
even sadness, no, for me it was the biggest
Opened up new
opportunity of my life,
opportunities, yes,
to be
yes.
honest. Yeah, and that mindset. So product management is a very generalist role. You have to understand very many parts of the business. I've carried that with me forward in my career, and it's opened a lot of doors for me.
Yeah.
Because of that decision.
Yeah.
You know, but behavior, we didn't have a conversation. We
Yes,
never did.
yes.
Yeah. Then the
Yeah.
next time we spoke was, hey, I want this job. What are we gonna do about it? Kind of thing. Yeah.
I really like that. Modeling what you want to see. And you actually took the example I was going to give because I'm a dad. And you go through parenting class and you're told parenting is caught, not taught.
Oh.
And, you know, because kids will catch what you do more than what you say. Like, yeah, you can say, I can tell them to do all these things, you know, not to be on their devices, not to take too much sugar, not to, you know, all these things. Then I model the wrong things.
Yeah.
They will do exactly. They might do what I want them to do when I'm there, but how often am I there?
Exactly.
Like right now, I left them home. I told them when it's time to go out, go out. They will, because they know when a certain time reaches, we turn off this thing and move on to something else. It is the same thing as you're saying within the organization. And I like what, you know, giving this example because it's practical. You know, you watch what your leader is doing and he doesn't have to tell you, but because you're seeing it being modeled, it starts opening your mind to, okay, this is how things are done here. And that brings in innovation.
Exactly.
You know, you start thinking about, okay, how do I move these things? You know, even just the way your mindset shifts, because you're saying, yes, we are going through a slump right now. A typical employee where the culture is bad, fold my hands and wait. Salo itaingia. I mean, if they say they're not going to pay me, then I'll sue.
I'm off.
You know, right? You know, but because of that, you then get to a place where even your skill set is growing just because you're seeing a lot of these things. So for kids watching at home, culture is modeled.
Yeah.
It is, yes, you can have all those fancy things. And let me tell you, I've been to organizations and you can see our mission, our vision, and all these things. Ask someone, what is your mission? Like, the thing is right Apple next to you. And not just even the leadership.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe the person who actually coined it, very few people have these things. What are our values? And sometimes also I think organizations bombard people. We have 30 values. Like, guys,
Really.
come on. Wilt those things down, if I don't know if that's the correct word, but summarize them to 3 or 5 things that can easily make an acronym or something if you want some. Yeah. But beyond the acronyms and the fancy things and all those fancy photos, live it. If you don't live it, no one is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and we'll do it when you're here because, you know, we serve people with a smile. Have your smile over there. And you'll realize this, especially, again, because you talked about customer facing. When you call customer service, you can tell someone who is well motivated and who is not.
Yes.
Even before, like, you haven't even done you can hear someone smiling in the
Correct.
voice, you know,
Yep.
through the phone. But the people you call and you're just like, wow, I need this service, so I'll persevere.
Put up with it. Yeah.
But and then after that, they tell you, oh, you know, you get that text. Please rate our service. Like,
Yeah.
are you being serious right now? Like, you, the employer, just call anonymously. You know, do the mystery shopper that you're doing. You will start to understand how your internal customers are interacting with your external customers. Hey, you know, I'm just looking. We're almost out of time, but it's because the conversation is really good.
Yeah.
We're talking about small budgets, big dreams, and culture that customers can feel. And we're here with Alistair and Wairimu Ndung'u. Okay. Let me, Alistair Gould and Wairimu Ndung'u, because someone will be like, did he? No. Alistair Gould. It's because I know I don't just call her Wairimu, it's Wairimu Ndung'u. I don't know. Yeah, that's how it is in my head. Let's continue. Let me be serious. How, Alistair? How can business owners? Actually, we've already discussed that. Let me go to the next question. How do you balance? And it's a good question. How do you balance the drive to grow fast with the need to create a sustainable experience?
Balance between the need to grow fast and a sustainable experience.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it starts with having a long-term view.
Right.
Because sustainable is about it sustaining.
Yes,
It's
long-term.
really lasting for a long time. So when you're a lot of times early stage in a business, there is a temptation to move very fast, right?
Yes.
Because you want to know whether this will work or not. Move fast and break things is what they say in the startup world.
Yeah.
It's to encourage iteration. However, when I think there's a balance in that some of these things should not just be taken as face value or as the words are written. They really need to be contextualized.
Yeah.
When you're building something that you want to last for a long time, then you, I guess, take a better or a different approach with the short term, because you do realize that any short term action is going to compound
in the long term. Yeah.
Where people tend to overlook certain things in the short term is when they think that, well, I can do this and I'll fix it. I'll fix it when you
kick the can down the road.
Street. Imagining that, I'll do this when we have more of this. If we get to that point, I'll get more money and I can care about that.
Yeah.
But with that approach, you're building on a very weak foundation, and no matter what comes up after it, at some point it'll fall or it'll be tested. So having the patience to balance between the long-term and needs and now, and just really focusing on, we need to get there. We really need to get there. I think that'll temper the actions in the present, and therefore the approach that an owner or a business leader has in how they carry out or how they conduct business. So where you have where you maybe are experiencing challenges in a business in the short term, still thinking about what are sustainable ways of addressing this problem, not the real what's the quick fix, always looking for a quick fix.
Yeah, because we really believe in shortcuts.
We really do.
Yes.
But shortcuts are very costly more often than not. And the more times that you've had to pay for the cost of learning through shortcuts, the more you get to appreciate that. Let's just do it the right way. Let's just do things that will result in a business that can actually operate and stand on its own. So I think the road to sustainability in that respect is really always thinking about the long term. Always think about the long term. In that, yes, right now things could be painful. Right now things could be great, but not losing sight of where do we really want to be, and right now with what we have, are we doing all that we can? Are we doing the things that are necessary to get us there, or are we either losing focus, or are we essentially harming our future selves by trying to just take shortcuts, essentially? I think it comes down to that for me.
Thanks. And Wairimu, listening to what Alistair is saying, the foundation is really important. But when we are starting, and rightly so, as you put it, you have, like, you're thinking about where you need to go and how fast you want to get there. And so sometimes we end up, again, for lack of just repeating what Alistair said, but taking shortcuts, and sacrificing future gains on the altar of expediency. So how then do we balance this? Because, you're putting in a lot of inputs at the startup, and you're bringing in people, you're bringing in whatever inputs that you need to take off. But this runway, haishi. So how do I find a proper balance so that I know, yes, I need to scale, I need to move, but if I don't do it sustainably, I'm going to crash and burn.
Yep. So that's a great question, and much as I've not started a high a business, I think a high growth business, let me say that I have chosen to work for a lot of founders who are building those types of businesses by choice. So I actually even like the direction that Alistair has kind of given us, the strategic part of that, which yes, I have chosen to work for these guys who have visions and know how to articulate them and tell me what I'm going to get out of it and things like that. And genuinely, it's really having faith in them, because at that point, it's not a salary. You don't enter at that stage for a salary. Even if it's high, that's not what you're there for. They also don't know. You're gonna be learning together, but they're promising you that they will tell you. They're willing to take those big bets, put them in themselves in uncomfortable positions to create this aperture for you, things to have access to opportunities you never would maybe in a massive organization that things are very clear and you know their path
with
and
the
on
bureaucracy and all that.
They're giving you room to innovate. So you mentioned something very important about the behavior observation loop creating innovation. This money journey we started doing that turned into a class. I started thinking about that during that season, during that downtime. Shortly after, Alistair helped to code a new product because we were short on time, something needed to come up, but he had gotten good enough to now partner. It's not learning. He was partnering with the dev team, but he was also the operator of the company and still working on the non-tech side of the business. But those types of things kind of come from now thinking on the ground. There's that strategy, but still learning how to do on the ground. So now when you think about strategy and vision, now as somebody who has believed in guys, listen and helped them come up with how do you do the department and things like that, I think one of the most important thing, even vision, even if you don't have all the answers, you need to think about the operations of this vision, You need to ask yourself, okay, you want to accomplish this big thing. What are you doing in your life? How are you reorganizing your life to execute that vision? What sacrifices have you made to implement that vision? Then ask yourself, your team, what sacrifices do you think they need to make? Not just competencies, things like that. And that's why not everyone is for startups, right? Not everyone needs to work there. But what sacrifices do they need to make and things you should be open to and things like that. And then when you find yourself using the word urgent, ASAP, it needs a meeting, you start asking, does it really? Is it really urgent? This is in the day-to-day, really, right? So he's talking about like short-term versus, long-term thinking. Now, if you think of people as the conduits of service delivery, and at that stage, that's all you've got. Okay, that is all you've got. Employees who should believe in that product and have to tell their friends about it. Which is what I was doing when I joined Tulip.
You become a fan.
You have to. You're the one, you have to sell that product, even if you work in tech. You have to sell. You have to be helping marketing sell. So when you are in that state, I think it allows for this kind of tempering of what do I need to be investing in right now? Because so far I've gone through two really good hiring and onboarding experiences in my life, and one of them, being Tulix. But the thing is, even early on, it was a small business. To be fair, they would really need output from day one. At least that's what someone would say. But those first 2 months were really, in fact, I think they let me even work on an outside project, another company that tried to hire me. But the goal they were going for, true, it was a new industry, it was finance, all that stuff. But their thinking, their rationale was, if we can get her excited and see her strengths, where it's still inside this business, she'll start to look for how her strengths work inside this business. And she'll look for other ways. She'll even see the edges of the weaknesses and know what to ask for help and on and on. That was my first 2 months. And it's risky because it was like a 6-month
yes.
period. And runway, all those things that founders have to think about.
Yeah.
But short-term thinking would have been pressuring me and expecting me to be perfect from day one.
We need
and
to
things
turn
like
around
that.
this new hire, from a cost
Exactly.
into profitability.
And that's why, we started this conversation, at least early on in this convo. I was saying, you really need to, show yourself or endeavor to see that the money is in the employee. Revenue is inside that. It resides in the employee, So you'll have less stress in the mind saying, but where is the money? No, it's in there. If you're having any problems, you can't find revenue. Let's talk to the people. What do we need to fix in there? Do we need more clarity, processes, things like that? So I think, with that vision and stuff like that, keep asking yourself then, what are the sacrifices involved? Then are they worth it? Me, I can manage. Can the team manage? Or the team is okay, but can I manage? Like, you need to keep auditing that as well. So that becomes now processes and systems. And you can grow and adapt as you continue.
I like that. I like the marrying of the strategy and then now the what you need to do to get you there. Guys, we are running out of time. But I still want to come to now the practical advice that you would give someone, and we've already done that a lot. The one who has the small budget, but they have big dreams. I'm just playing around with our title here.
I can see the vision.
Yeah. They have a small budget, but they have big dreams, and and I think we need to just rehash on the funnel as well. Because one of the things that I really liked, over and above the entire conversation, is thinking through the entire process, including the exit.
Yes.
Because people catch feelings. Like employers catch big feelings when you have to leave.
Yeah.
Forgetting that everyone is, I have my own path.
Yeah.
And yes, this role could have been that conduit to get me to the next step. But when I get to that place, I need to move. So how do I think through this entire process? And I think I'm bringing in two questions here, but just thinking through my budget, how I'm going to employ, and how I'm going to have a good culture. In that, I don't know if my question has landed properly, but that's what I'm trying to think. Just for me, who is in business, starting out or whatever, and I need to hire right, but also get my business to move because I want, I don't want to die within statistics say I don't know how many the first
Businesses,
3
yeah.
years, so get the right people, get the right teams, put in the right cultures, and be able to grow. I am throwing that to you guys.
And would you like to start?
You go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me rest my voice.
Okay. So that's
and you can tackle it from whichever angle, because I know I've thrown in a lot of things there.
But it's a great question, and for it to be practical, and useful to the people listening to this, it's important for us to really try and make it tangible. So when working, I think with constraints, and I would say nearly all businesses or companies will say that they are constrained in some way or form, even the profitable ones. Even if you go to Safaricom or Equity Bank, they'll tell you that there are constraints. There are things that they currently can't approve, and so on, despite the billions that are sitting in their retained earnings. But whether you're them or a small business trying to figure out the next step, I think within those constraints is working in there. It creates an opportunity to be creative. The mindset of the professional employee that Wairimu was mentioned in the past is one of just repeating the things that have been done. That's how it worked, or that's how I experienced it. That's how it's going to be done.
If it ain't broke.
That approach is, it creates the same results.
Yes.
Whatever was there before, you can expect pretty much the same.
You can predict it.
But where you are a little more open-minded, to really think about, in this situation, what are my constraints? What do I want to get done? And just try and problem solve.
Yeah.
If that becomes the behavior with which you approach your business, the behavior with which you approach problems, then that translates into everything, right?
Yeah.
So it really starts with the leader, right? It starts with the owner of that business, how you carry yourself. Honestly, a lot of times we think that the solutions to the problems are all out there, but never want to introspect and blame ourselves,
exactly.
and first say, okay, things are not going right.
Yeah.
This was my business. Okay, perhaps let me start by checking where am I not doing well by this business, because whatever it is, as the leader of the business, as they say, the buck stops there.
With you.
Even if it's an employee, even if it's a customer out there, it still stops with you. So being able to take on that responsibility again, part of leadership, take on the responsibility of your position as the head or the owner of the business, and start by checking, okay, what do I want? Is it unrealistic? And if what do ideal conditions look like?
Yeah.
Why is there a gap between where I am and where I want to be? And how much of that gap is as the result of myself,
my own doing,
whether it's my actions, my behavior, my inaction, and so on.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that'll start to tell you that how to then solve the external problem. I sincerely believe that as a leader of a business, that's the least that you could do. Start by play your own devil's advocate.
Yes.
For once, say it's my fault. Okay.
Yeah.
Then how do I fix it? Well, have people ask them. Ask them to help you to fix it.
Yeah.
And with that collaborative approach, I think you'll end up with better results. Whether it's in the hiring of the people, whether it's in their experience within your organization. Because many times people will forget what it was like to be an employee when they are now in leadership.
Exactly.
Many people forget.
You forget how it was in the trenches.
Exactly. It becomes now a position to exercise power and oppression, and right all the wrongs that you experience.
Politicians, are you listening?
Especially.
I'm just going to leave it there.
At the end of the day, and which is, I'm glad that we're having a culture conversation, because it's good you mention politicians, because culture starts from the top.
Yep.
From leadership, even as a nation right now. You see, our behaviors, we will learn from leadership. People look to leadership to then see what is acceptable behavior, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we learn, and it trickles and it trickles and it trickles. And so we are where we are, whether it's as a country, as companies, as a result of the behaviors of our leaders.
Alistair, you've said something that has struck me, where leaders are, calling leaders to introspect and to see, yes, this is where I wanted to be, this is where we are. How much have I contributed by doing or not doing to this? And I think that if people are humble enough, because I think when you've reached there, and you rightly so say it, when you reach to the top, it's very easy to forget. There's a, it's gonna just show you how old I am, but there's a line of a song by Lucky Dube. Do you know who that is?
I do. I may not know the song, but I know him.
It's the song, I think it's called "That's the Way It Is," and it says, "Be good to the people on your way to the top, in case you meet them on your way down."
Oh yeah.
And then he says, "That's the way it is." Like, it's a brilliant. And those guys used to. That's earlier we talked about songs with stories and meaning. That's one of them. But that's it right there. If you are able to really just sit down with yourself and look at the things that that have happened, and ask yourself some hard questions. And I think we lack that introspection, because again, society pushes us just to be on the go. So we go and we never really stop, take stock, stop to reflect, stop to, and if you don't do that, by the time you're actually crashing and burning, you've literally reached the end of of the rope of the road for yourself. So
So true.
yeah, I really like those insights. Wairimu,
On
please
this
tell
bit.
us.
Yeah, okay. I mean, Alistair has covered a lot, so I'll
Mm.
share something complimentary.
Okay.
I mean, another book that I've just read,
Mm,
and I highly recommend. I've been
Yeah.
telling everyone about it. It's The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. It's
Okay.
from the 50s, actually.
Mm,
But so many things are timely that
Yeah,
we're discussing,
yeah.
pretty similar.
mm,
But there's a quote he says that anyone who is under your power is also under your protection. Okay, so there's a message to leaders.
I like that.
My extension of that is that anyone who uses their power responsibly is worth protecting. And I'm saying this because there tends to be a very either-or conversation
Yes,
when it
yes,
comes
yes.
to who's responsible for culture and things like that. Truthfully, the onus, there's a huge part that comes from the leader.
Yeah.
But I feel like especially having been someone who took this risk of working with startups, and it was always you'll be taken advantage of and all that stuff. And I really hear where it's coming from, and there's some places I have seen that.
Yeah.
But there's a very suspicious relationship, between employer and employee,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that now sometimes you're afraid to even be kind, and you end up being like mean, guarded, and all that stuff. And when you do have a good leader, you can hurt your leader by
Yes.
being guarded and things like that.
Yes,
It's the
yes,
way you
yes.
have a not so nice romantic relationship that doesn't work out. The next person pays for that
Absolutely.
relationship, right? There's a song by Asha I love called His Mistakes, which is literally that. Yeah, you're paying for the last guy's mistakes.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I've endeavored to really think through, okay, what does it take to, if a leader gives me autonomy and things like that, how can I pour back into them? I really strongly believe if I challenge my leader to grow and I help them,
Yeah.
okay, I do the best job possible, but I also, help them grow, things like that.
Yeah.
When they grow, they're clearing the way for me as well. They're creating new heights for me
Yeah, yeah.
as an individual, new heights for the business. That's how you create jobs,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
clarity and better leaders and things like that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to feel helpless once you look at maybe at politicians, the state of
Yes.
things, and think,
Yeah.
it's hopeless, right? But we have an opportunity every single day in the way we interact with each other in the workplace between the leader and the higher and things like that. So it's such a two-way relationship,
Yes,
because
yes,
once
yes.
the leader opens that door, creates a safe environment and things like that,
Yeah.
when you don't do your best, when you're giving 100%, you're not going above and beyond, honestly, if, like there's that opportunity, then the business starts to suffer and vice versa, right? So I think trying as much as possible to, and some of the things we were saying in the last conversation of auditing, who are you going to work with,
Yes.
interviewing each
Yes,
other.
yes.
Part of interviewing each other is also co-creating that culture.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
giving those suggestions, things like that. Even if it doesn't work out, let's say for the employee, because I know it's always risky in that sense. It's not your business. What if it fails,
Who
right?
are you? Yeah.
Those are still lessons. If the vision was to lead at some point,
Yeah.
you've learned there's nothing that's wasted. There's no wasted time. It's just
Yeah.
knowledge exchange, right?
Yeah.
So I think, that's something to really keep in mind in this conversation for culture.
Good stuff. We have reached the end of our conversation. Not the end of, no, we've reached the end of our time.
Yeah.
That is not English. But I'll just invite you guys to give us your closing statements. And there's a lot to be discussed about, how to build the right culture, with all the constraints that you have in a business. But for me, from the last conversation into this conversation, is that you have to get it right. It doesn't matter where you are in your business, where you're starting, your middle, your, whichever cycle you're finding yourself in, you have to get the right hire. Think through that funnel. Again, if you missed that conversation, please go and play it. It was on the 11th of August. Just go and have that, just rehash that conversation, because it is very important for you to get it right. Your employees are meant to be, in an ideal situation, your biggest fans, that your first customers. You don't have to pay them to market your organization. If you treat them well, they will. They will take care. It's I've always wondered, if I'm manufacturing bread, for instance, just something simple. Nikienda kwa supermarket, then now you are my boss, then you find me with the competitors. Actually, there was this, this happened a long time ago, but there was a staff retreat. Okay. And these are big companies. So, the way you have your favorite football team.
Yeah.
And it's sponsored by a company, a parent company to a competitor. Not a competitor, but another big brand here.
Yeah.
So guys have gone, it's a Friday, so I'm wearing my, let's say, my Man U shirt. It's being sponsored by, let's say, AIG. AIG at some point sponsored Man U. And then your boss sees you in that shirt. And this guy apparently, was fired. I don't know. if that was actually true, but there was, because it actually made news that there was some drama because this guy wore a jersey of a, wearing a brand that did not belong to, it was that bad. But that's not to say that, people should not patron other brands. But how would I feel if I'm making this product and yet my own employees are not even they don't trust it. They're like, usinunue hiyo, please nunua hii ingine, and they work there. So for those of you who are watching, you need to get the culture right, and as we've said here, it's at the top. But yes, it trickles down as well.
Yes, it does.
Yes, there's a responsibility both of the founders or the leaders and the employees as well, because let's not just say, okay, so it's the boss who does it, so let me sit. And that's why I really like Wairimu, the example you gave, working with Alistair. He modeled something that, made sense to you. She's not being paid to say this.
I really am not. It's
She's
been
not
years.
being paid. It is something that has
been
stuck
2
with
to
her.
3 years now.
Yes, and every time we have this conversation, you say it, for me, it's testament of the kind of culture that you built at your organization. That having been said, closing remarks. We started with you when you were introducing. So let's start with Alistair as we finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, first, thanks a lot for having us here. Thanks.
Always a pleasure.
Such a thought-provoking type of conversation. It's nice to talk about these things that often are unsaid, where either side is feeling it, whether it's employer, employee, but aren't just bridging that gap and having that conversation. So it's nice to have a platform where we create that space for both sides to be seen, because we're not saying that leaders are bad. We need them. And we're also not saying that employees are all terrible and lazy. No, we need each other, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I think the word that I will leave with is ownership. Yeah, everyone to take ownership of what's theirs, so to speak. The business owner, own the business, own everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. You own it. You own that culture. You own the experiences that everyone that interacts with it will have. It's not a blame game. It's taking ownership. You see, and taking ownership or a mindset of ownership allows for improvement. It allows for there to be failures and then work from there. Ownership from the part of employees as well. I think really great example what you've raised, Wairimu, as far as that perspective of the employee side as well. For employees, I think it's also very important to remember when you have accepted a role. You've taken a job, you've asked someone, give me this position, and you've signed, whether it's formal, informal, whatever, whatever kind of business. Employee also take ownership of the role. At the point where you're taking the job, asking for the job, you're promising 100% output, right? Are you sure you're going to give 100% output for those years?
That's a very good question.
So I think employees also owning their role in the company is the best thing that they can give themselves and the employer and the customer. You see, so it for me it really comes down to ownership. Everyone to own what's theirs and do their best at it. And that's the road to building sustainable cultures.
I love it. Wairimu.
That was great. So still leaning into employees, and I kind of want to speak to Gen Z to a degree. I mean, I'm the youngest millennial, but I'm on the cusp. But I realized something. 10 years ago, if I was afraid and leaned into this is how employers are, it's bad and it's scary and all these things, I for sure would have left after the first startups, but I worked for like 5 of them in the last 10 years. And yes, I have moved from opportunity to opportunity and I regret nothing. But my encouragement is don't let what you're hearing the workplace is like dull your or cloud your judgment about the experience you will have. So much of what I've experienced up to where I am right now is not the norm for people, but it's because I decided I don't care about what other people are are experiencing. What do I want? Okay.
Yeah.
You always have some power. Even when you
Yeah.
are an intern, you always have some power.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what you're doing is you're building like your ideal, like your map, like some kind of a manual of the experiences you want to have at work.
Yes.
You're building a manual for the type of mentors that work for you, your personality. You're starting to build a menu of goals because they're going to change. I know right now you think you want that degree, the career that's connected to the degree you're working on and that your friends are going through.
Yes.
No, you probably
Yes.
don't. There's
Yeah.
a job out there that doesn't exist yet. That's yours. What you need to do
Absolutely.
is to put yourself in spaces where you will find that thing, or you will find people who will point you in that direction or give you some of those skills, you know. Or maybe the first 5 years are about collecting advisors.
Yeah.
In one of the last episodes, I talked about board of advisors. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for instance, Alistair is a very integral part of mine, you know, but I collected him at a job. I'm not in fintech anymore, but I spent that time picking competencies in the job, but also building a strong mentorship relationship with him.
Yeah.
And he's been so instrumental in consulting him on decisions I've made ever since.
Yeah.
In a world that's been disrupted so much by tech, and degrees not really replicating as they used to, you know. And it truly is only going to get worse. By the way, it's going to be very project portfolio kind of focus. So ownership, in fact, is by default. Okay. Yes, it's pay me and then I'll do the thing. But where we are headed, you want to see competency first. Okay.
Yes.
So with those shifts, now more than ever, you know, step up and believe you have something to offer and work at that. Speak from that place of power and learn. Be open to learning from people who are older than you, so that you can fast track yourself. Now it's easier than ever, and you guys would know. Before it was finish the degree, get the master's, get the PhD, then you get the position. Now you guys are here. This show is here. YouTube is there. Podcast. You can fast track yourself. You can learn so much. You can read the books and show up and test yourself at a job. You know, based on all of that. So I think it's ownership, but like now on steroids. What I'm saying is like, you know,
I like that.
I'm really saying you're not disadvantaged. Do your best not to disadvantage yourself before anyone else has. You know, it won't get you. It won't help you. You know, and be okay being different and losing friends along the way for some periods as you look for your North Star.
Yes.
I always say life is not 844. Okay, we're not doing KCSE at 30. Okay, it ended at Form 4.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember that with all of this. Yeah. Then those become those types of leaders who take ownership. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yep.
We have to land our plane here on that bombshell. Those who know. But yes, this has been a very good conversation, targeting both employers, business owners, and employees. And, you know, again, this is why this works, because you give this perspective, she gives this perspective, you know, having been a founder, having worked closely with the founder and seeing how, you know, the culture just made or could have broken the system, you know. Ownership, very important. And again, it goes across you, the owner or the business or the executive, taking ownership, you, the employee, taking ownership, you know. And I like what, you know, talking to the Gen Zs, because there's a lot of, and maybe one day we should talk about that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that are going on about hiring Gen Zs and whatnot. First of all, you cannot brush an entire generation with one stroke. Like, it's foolish.
It is.
Allow me to be that, you know. You cannot say all Gen Zs are like this. No, people are so different. Their experiences, their backgrounds, they are bringing. Yes, they are tech natives. They have all these things to them. And again, to what you've said, so you can really, you know, chart your path very easily, as opposed to how it was for those of us who are grey-haired. Well, Alistair, he has the genes. He has the genes, man. But there's so much that you can learn and unlearn, and, you know, chart your path. Like you said, be okay to lose some friends if they're not taking you the right path that you want to go. It's fine. By the way, life is dynamic. There are people who, not everyone that you start with, mtafika nayo. Even, again, let me give this analogy of a matatu. We all board from the same stage, you know, but we disembark. Different. So the people who are going with you, some will go out, some will come in, but, you know, follow that path. But at the end of the day, ensure that you get it right from the get-go. I cannot overstate that, because if you do not, then back to the question that, you know, Alice was talking about sustainability, you will build quickly, and down the road, you know, things will will fall. This has been Money Mondays with me, Ezekiel Olande, hosting. Let me start with Wairimu Ndung'u and Alistair Gould. And they've just really taken us through the employee life cycle, from last episode to this, and talk about, how to get it right, even when the budget is not right. If you missed the first episode, like I said, go and check it on our pages. Good people, how can we find you online?
I'm Wairimu Ndung'u everywhere on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm not as organized, but easy to find. Alistair Gould on most platforms. Also have a newsletter on Substack called Unstructured Notes.
Yeah.
Easy to find there.
Good stuff. You also are on.
I do. I've
Yes.
forgotten. I have a newsletter called Imperfect Practice. So I talk about a mix of career, gender, and health. So you'll get some of what I'm sharing on there if you're interested.
And as always, you can find us on all our socials. I'm at ezekiel.olande. At mimi ilibidi, I put everything. Yeah, because I was like, this one. No, ezekiel.olande on all my socials. Drop us a note, a point, a comment, a question. We'll be happy to discuss with you. But until next time, kwaherini. Have a good one.
Asante.
Thanks, guys.
We gotta go get something to eat, man. Hey, yo, man. Damn, what's taking home?